Good evening. I want to welcome you to the forum for the candidates running for the at-large City Council seats for the City of Anoka. The mayor is running unopposed and will not be here tonight. All three candidates for the at-large position are here tonight, and the top two vote-getters will be elected to the City Council. This forum is sponsored by the Anoka, Blaine, Coon Rapids Area League of Women Voters, and I am Arlene Gillette, a member of the League, and I live in East Bethel. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan volunteer organization, 94 years strong. It does these things. It encourages the informed and active participation of all citizens in all levels of government. It works to increase understanding of major policy issues, and it influences public policy through education and advocacy. What the League does not do is the League does not support or oppose any political party or candidate. Rather, the League provides voter education opportunities, such as this evening, to bring the candidates and their views to you, the voters. The views expressed are those of the candidates and not of the League, and the sponsorship of this forum is not an endorsement by the League of any candidate. If you are interested in joining the League, check out the League of Women Voters Minnesota website, lwvmn.org, for more information. And the League is open to membership by both men and women. All right. This forum is, the first section will be the forum for candidates of the two at-large seats for the City Council. All candidates on the ballot for these positions were invited and are attending. In each set, we will start with a 2-minute opening statement from each candidate. This will be followed by questions submitted by the audience with a 1-minute response from each candidate. The audience is welcome to submit questions throughout the forum. Then each set will close with a 1-minute closing statement from each candidate. In general, responses will be timed by a representative of the League of Women Voters ABC, who will be giving a 15-second warning before the time is up. And if the timer indicates the time has expired, she'll hold up a stop sign and you'll hear beep beep, I think. And candidate may finish their sentence, and then I will say that your time has expired. There will not be an opportunity for rebuttal, and we ask no reference of a personal nature to be allowed. So please hold your applause until the forum has ended. Okay. The candidates for the at-large City Council positions at the City of Anoka are Carl Anderson, Patrick Walker, and Jeff Weaver. We'll begin with a 2-minute statement from each candidate, starting with Carl Anderson.
Well, thank you. First, I wish to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum. From my experience serving on the Anoka City Council, I have learned that but for the League, many of our citizens would have no opportunity to meet the local candidates. So please allow me to thank the League on behalf of our citizens and as well as the City Council. So who am I? By now you must know my name is Carl Anderson, and that I'm a retired professional engineer, and that I have served the Anoka City Council for 10 years. I followed my parents to Anoka from Buffalo, Minnesota, where I was born, then to Duluth, where I was raised and schooled, and then in 1960 to this wonderful town. In Anoka, I met my beloved wife, Pamela. Pamela Dahlgren and her Dahlgren family had lived in Anoka for 4 generations. And they soon taught me to love this town just as much as they do. We have enrolled 3 daughters and a grandson in the Anoka Public Schools. And grandmother Pam and grandson Peter both have attended Franklin Elementary. Tonight we'll likely hear about bad streets and parking problems and a flourish of parking tickets, but let me remind you that your City Council has made many parking improvements in downtown, and we have established and maintained a multi-year plan for replacement of our streets and utilities. We have provided ample parking lots and structures for customers and workers, enabling our shops and restaurants to prosper. Most important, we have continued to rebuild our city streets and utilities in those years when state money was short or practically non-existent. What are my priorities? Well, I want to preserve what is good about the city, improve it where an improvement is needed, while continuing to balance the budget and hold the line on taxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, Patrick Walker, opening statement.
Good evening. I'm Pat Walker. I live in Anoka. I've been here about 30 years. I served on the HRA, a partial term and a full 5-year term. I've ran for city council before and failed, and I'll continue to do so until I win or until things change. I like Anoka. We raised our kids here. It's a wonderful town. And I don't have personal issues with any of the city council. They're all fine gentlemen, but for our politics, we could probably be good friends. But I think that the city's headed in the wrong direction. A lot of times, things like redevelopment, tax increment financing, the new municipal restaurant, I don't appreciate those kind of things, and I think other tax-paying citizens here would rather see the money spent on roads. I really think that it's ridiculous that it takes 2 years to set up a municipal restaurant, but it takes 20 years to paint a rusty bridge. There's things that the council does well and things that they don't do well. But tonight, I'm the only choice. Either the voters, the citizens of this town think things are wonderful and they choose to stick with the same team, or they elect somebody different. Nonetheless, at best, I'm going to be 20% of the vote. There's not going to be some earth-shaking change. I'm not going to make promises to you that are unrealistic. So if I'm elected, I'll continue to make decisions based on common sense. I do my own homework. The mayor said that. The head of the HRA has said that. Everybody knows that. I don't just take somebody's word as to how things are. I do my own research, and I do a great deal of it. So I'm Pat Walker. I'd like to be on the city council, and I'd like to represent the citizens of Anoka. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Jeff Weaver.
Again, I want to thank the League of Minnesota, our women voters. It's a wonderful forum that we have tonight and be able to introduce ourselves to the voters. I'm a 50-year resident of the city of Anoka. I attended Lincoln Elementary, Franklin Elementary, Fred Moore Middle School, and Sandburg Middle School, graduating from Anoka High School in 1976. I then attended the University of Montana and the University of Minnesota Duluth. I'm married. My wife is a elementary school teacher at Lincoln Elementary, and we have 2 grown daughters. I'm employed by a small family business that has had their office on Main Street in Anoka for over 50 years. I'm a founding member of the Heritage Preservation Commission in the city of Anoka, 11-year member of the Housing and Redevelopment Authority, and I'm a member of the Anoka County Joint Law Enforcement Council. I'm an Eagle Scout. I'm a former district chair of the Three Rivers District of the Northern Stars Council. I'm a current member of the President's Council of the Boy Scouts of America, and I have 2 passions in life besides the city of Anoka, and that is hunting and fishing.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we will go to written questions from the audience. And the audience is welcome to submit written questions on the cards all through the forum. So if you think of any question you want answered, just write it out, hold it up, and they'll bring it up to me, okay? All right, so we'll start with the first question, and we'll start with Jeff Weaver. The question is, and we have a 1-minute response for each one, what can we do as a city to become more bee pollinator friendly?
We have heard that, and I brought that question back because I was approached by a gentleman that lives in one of the buildings here on 2nd Avenue, and I don't remember his name, but I brought that back to Tim Cruikshank, and we were going to explore what that is. And I think that the subject is there's been a decline in the amount of bees that are out there pollinating the crops and the flowers and all the other things that bees do and the bees work. And I don't have an answer of why or what we are going to do, but it has been brought forward, and I brought that forward to Mr. Cruikshank.
Okay, thank you. All right, now, Carl Anderson. What can we do to be more bee
Wow,
pollinator?
where did you get that question? That's a wonderful question. Bee pollinator friendly. There certainly has been a lot to read about that in the press, and I've read it with a lot of interest. I have a science background myself, being a geology student, an engineering student, and I can see that that's a real problem. It's even more complicated than we thought. And so I'm glad for that question. We have not considered doing anything on a local level at all, but I think in view of that type of question, we certainly will.
Okay, great, thank you. Now, Pat Walker, what do you think Anoka should do to become more bee-friendly?
Well, I know very little about bees, and I certainly didn't anticipate that question tonight, but I can't say I know what I would do. I know bees are important. I know it's a serious issue that bees have been dying in droves. Farmers are scrambling to get them from one part of the country to another just to get their crops produced. So I know it's an important issue, but I won't pretend to think that I know the solution to this.
Yeah.
But certainly we all need to come to grips with what's providing our food, how things operate together to keep us alive and comfortable in our lives. So yeah, it'd be an interesting conversation.
Okay, okay, thank you. All right, the next question. How do you plan to increase citizen interest and engagement in city concerns and plans if you are elected? And we'll have Pat Walker go first.
Thank you. I guess citizen participation is very important to me. I just noticed that there's 20 vacancies on our boards and commissions. Part of the reason that I run is because nobody else does. I wish there were lots of people running for city council. I wish all of our boards and commissions were filled. I strove to get all of the information, the contact information for all of our boards and commission members, like their email address, on the city website. And I think to a great degree that that's happened. I spoke loud and hard when we were getting electronic packets on the day of the council meeting. I thought that was pitiful. And I still think it can be improved. Even though the packets are coming out on Friday before the Monday meeting, I think the packets should be posted online and the citizens should get the packets at the same time the council members get the packets.
Okay. Jeff Weaver, how do you plan to increase citizen interest and engagement in city concerns if elected?
The city of Anoka has some of the most wonderful volunteers that participate in all the different boards and commissions that we have. We've got boards and commissions from the Planning Commission, the Heritage Preservation Commission, the Housing and Redevelopment Commission, it goes on and on. You've got the Park Board, and those are all different parts of city government that are advisory to the city council. And we advertise that in the paper, they advertise that online, there's applications available on the city website, and we quite frequently announce that those vacancies that are out there. I don't know if there are 20 vacancies. I think there's a small handful of vacancies that are out there, but if people want to be involved, there's always the opportunity to get involved in the city of Anoka.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now Carl Anderson.
Thank you, thank you. That's a nice question, too. We do get people attending our city council meetings, and when they do, they get an opportunity to speak to us in the open forum session. And we sometimes have a number of people attending, but not always. It seems like when there's not issues of interest on the agenda, then we get a drop off there. I agree, we have good stalwart citizens that are interested in serving on our boards, but we always need more. So I guess we'll have to continue to publicize through QCTV, through the Anoka Union, through the Minneapolis Star, so that we can make people more aware of those opportunities. I think more people would serve if they realized that there were opportunities for them.
Okay, great, thank you. We'll move on to the next question, and that is, what do you think is the biggest problem facing Anoka, and how would you fix it? The big question, and we'll have Carl Anderson answer first.
The biggest problem is that we are an old community with old infrastructure, and we have pipes that have been under the ground for many, many years. We have streets that were constructed many years back. And that is it's a very expensive problem, and it's hard for us to get much help on the state level for that. But we nonetheless have set up a program, a multi-year program, where we continue to chip away at our streets and our utilities. And when we are done, we find that we drag the neighborhoods up. As we improve the streets and curbs and gutters, we see that the people start making more improvements to their housing and what have you. So I believe that's our biggest problem, but I think we are working quite diligently on that.
Okay, thank you. All right, Pat Walker, what do you think is the biggest problem facing Anoka? And how would you fix it if elected?
Well, I guess I appreciate Mr. Anderson's answer. That's roads are a good place to start. That grabs a lot of attention in Anoka. I think the focus of the council is more on redevelopment right now. I think tax increment financing has a lot to do with why our roads aren't being maintained. The city council takes development like the Riverway Clinic. We were getting tax income off of the old Riverway Clinic, went into the general fund. The general fund pays for our roads and personnel costs and things like that. When the old clinic went away and it got built up here by Perkins, the new clinic, that money doesn't go into the general fund. That new building goes into the tax increment fund, and the council uses that fund to buy more properties and do more redevelopment. But the general fund that pays for our roads just lost a big chunk of money, and that's happened lots and lots of times. So there's lots of tax increment money. If we can figure out how to use it to build roads, we'd be fine.
Okay, all right, thank you. Jeff Weaver, what do you think is the biggest problem facing Anoka?
I think the biggest problem that's facing Anoka is figuring out what the biggest problem is. You know, we've got all kinds of issues, whether it's roads, whether it's balancing a budget. You know, this council over the last 6 years have had zero or negative levy increases in taxes over the last 6 years. That's remarkable that we've been able to do all that we've done investing in this community, whether it's in roads, whether it's in streets, whether it's in sidewalks, whether it's in new development, and we haven't raised taxes. It's a phenomenal thing that has happened in the city of Anoka. And yes, we're being very aggressive on our roads. We have 2 different road projects, the SSIP program, where we've gone in and done over 10 miles in the last 3 years with no assessment to the residents. That's phenomenal. It's unheard of. We've also been picking away at the SRP, street renewal projects, and we've been going neighborhood by neighborhood and, as Carl said, infusing lots of energy into old neighborhoods.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, now we'll move on to the next question, and that is, should the city provide mediation services for neighborhood disputes? And we will have Jeff Weaver start.
I believe that's available if somebody wants to do that right now as we speak. There's always going to be issues in neighborhoods. There's always going to be issues all over the town. Everybody has different thoughts on how one wants to live, but I think the most important thing we always got to remember when you have a neighborhood dispute or a neighbor between a neighbor is everybody's got personal property rights. Property rights rank really high in my book.
Okay, thank you. All right, now, Carl Anderson, should the city provide mediation services for neighborhood disputes?
Well, my goodness, do I have my head in the sand? I'm not aware of any need for mediation for neighborhood disputes. I'm sure we have them. I'm sure we have the mediation services available. So yes, when I hear of a neighborhood dispute, I certainly will recommend mediation. But in the meantime, boy, point one out to me, please.
Okay, thank you. And Patrick Walker?
I guess if there's a neighborhood dispute that involves the city, then certainly the city should provide that service. But I wouldn't want the city to get in the middle of disputes between 2 neighbors. If it's a city issue, the city should be a part of the solution. But, well, even if it's a barking dog, I suppose the city could be part of the solution. I'm not aware of the mediation services these two gentlemen think that we have, but it seems reasonable to me. If there's a problem with the city should get in the middle of it, and they should be proactive, and it shouldn't take attorneys to sort it out.
Okay. All right, we'll go on to the next question, which is how would you deal with the problem of homeless youth in Anoka? And Pat Walker, we'll start with you.
Well, I know homelessness is a problem across the country, and Anoka's no different. There are areas of Anoka that people have tried to put in homeless shelters, and they were denied for one reason or another by the city council. I know currently they're working at the historic hospital grounds, trying to make veterans housing out of that. I think that's valid. I think there's a need. But I think that the city has to deal with these issues as they come up. It's not the kind of thing you can plan for in the future. You don't know when you're going to be homeless. You don't know when somebody's going to need help. It's the kind of thing you have to be prepared to deal with, not say, okay, well, we'll start a survey, we'll put together a committee, and a year from now we'll get that fixed.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, Jeff Weaver, how would you deal with the problem of homeless youth in Anoka?
It's a great question because it is, as Pat said, there is that need and that urgency all over the area. And I think Anoka has been out in the forefront with the opportunities that are out there for homeless youth and just homeless folks that are being challenged at any particular time. We've got a great group of people who are and have put together an organization called Stepping Stone, which operates out of the State Hospital building. And the board of directors are local residents that know the local issues. The cottages that are up at the State Hospital are being looked at for homeless veteran housing, and there could be a number of different facets of that need also. So Anoka's been at the forefront. We need to make sure we have our neighboring communities also step up and take care of the problems that are in all of our communities.
Okay, thank you. And then Carl Anderson, how would you deal with the problem of homeless youth in Anoka?
Well, I don't have to remind you that homeless youth eventually become homeless adults, so I agree that it's a serious problem. We have organizations in this town that are supported by both the city council and by private donors from our area. Hope for Youth is one. Youth First is another one. Youth First is incidentally having a fundraiser tonight, but I don't want to take my precious time to sell that one. But yes, we are aware of it, and we do have programs, and we continue to focus our attention. The people that I have met that work with youth at risk are very, very good, and we just need to find them and support them and give them the resources they need.
Okay, thank you. Now we have time for one last question. It can be a short answer, and we start with Carl Anderson. Where do you stand on residents raising chickens?
Well, that's another off-the-wall question. Where do you get these? That's a great question. We actually debated that a few years ago. We had some very nice citizens of Anoka that wanted to raise chickens. I happen to think that raising chickens is a viable opportunity for a family to teach their youngsters how to care for something that they have a stake in. But we have to obviously regulate them. We have to be sure that they're not in all of the neighborhoods. I can't begin to define which ones they should be in, but yes, I think we should look at that. I was in favor of that idea when it first crossed our path a few years back.
Okay, thank you. All right, Pat Walker, where do you stand on residents raising chickens?
The city allows for 4 chickens right now. My friend Ziggy has 4 chickens, and I buy his eggs. They're outstanding. He loves them. I spoke against the ordinance that regulated the number of chickens down to 4 back when Mayor Bjorn Skogquist was entertaining chickens over off of Park Street. There was a problem. A house had too many chickens. They weren't taking care of them, the smell was bothering the neighbors, and so the city thought they'd regulate everybody down to 4 chickens rather than deal with the problem. I thought that was bad policy then, and I still think it is. I think you should be able to have chickens as long as you take care of them and respect your neighbors, go about your business, and good luck with your eggs.
Okay, thank you. And Jeff Weaver, where do you stand on residents raising chickens?
I like a good Rhode Island red or easy in the morning. There's nothing better than a brown egg for breakfast. So yes, we do have a chicken ordinance on the books. People are allowed to have chickens in the city of Anoka, and it's a great way to teach some kids a responsibility about taking care of animals.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, now we will go to a 1-minute closing statement from each candidate, and we will start with Jeff Weaver.
Again, I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for this debate. Serving on the Anoka City Council is a privilege which I take very seriously. I have a simple motto, and it is, if the taxpayer is successful, so is the city. I would be thrilled, humbled, honored to earn your vote on November 4th. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Pat Walker, a 1-minute closing statement.
I guess I didn't thank the League of Women Voters in the opening statement, so I'll do it now. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have any public forum or public debate or discussion with the candidates. I think that's the city's fault. I think the city government should ensure that the residents are knowledgeable about all of the candidates. I think there should be term limits on many of the boards and commissions. I think that if the information was posted more timely on the websites, there would be more citizen involvement. They would have the information. It should be there for years and years, not 1 year, which I was instrumental in seeing happen. Because at the start of a new year, they used to just take them right off the website. Now they keep 1 year. I think they should keep 5 years or 10 years, and they should be prepared to defend those documents at any time. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. And now Carl Anderson, your 1-minute closing.
Thank you. Thank you. What I tried to tell you here tonight is that your city council has improved your streets and infrastructure. It's solved downtown parking. It's streamlined City Hall. It's revitalized Main Street. It's improved your parks. It's improved your riverfront. It's allowed for housing and commercial expansion. And for the last 3 years or more, has cut taxes. This is one time when doing more of the same is the right direction for the city to take. Thanks again to the League, and thanks to all of you for attending. And let me repeat, this is one time we're doing more of the same is the right direction for the city of Anoka. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so again, I would like to remind you that the views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates, not those of the League of Women Voters, and the sponsorship of this forum is not an endorsement by the League of any candidate. On the behalf of the League of Women Voters ABC, I want to thank you all for coming, and for the TV audience for watching, and to thank you, the candidates, for being willing to serve the community in the democratic process by running for office. This concludes the Anoka City Council Forum, and you may applaud now. Thank you, and thank you very much, and remember to vote Tuesday, November 4th, 2014, okay? Thank you.